Hi, I'm Dave March, the Spy Guy. I apologize for being like 30 seconds late, or now it says 1 minute late from my showtime start that I just posted 15 minutes ago. So mileage varies. I just wanted to get together tonight, and no, I was going to say I was going to try and do these more on the weekends, but this morning I woke up and I got told there might be war in Serbia in the next week or two, and I thought, hey, maybe people want to hear about that, and so I got home and I started arranging things on my screen so people could see things. And then suddenly I'm like, the last minute I have to go. I'm running around like looking for this book that I thought would be useful. And I'm like, okay, I finally found. So well, while we start, I went around and I looked for some various results to talk about this. And once again, we can go reading the news. So I wanted to start with my homeland of Canada, and talk about the things from there. So let me just pull up a shared screen here, because I wanted to remember to start actually showing people what I'm reading instead of just that. So I believe this. Yeah, here we go. Canada explains this from our unofficial but official government news agency, CTV. Here's something about Canada: like 90% of all our news now, or 99%, is now like funded by the government in one shape or another. There's a kind of a handful of outlets you can find out there that don't, and a lot of independent coverage. But all these guys are like, oh, we're not taking money. You're either taking ads, or you got money from the media bailout, or you're owned by companies taking it from the newspaper side of things. We all know you're in the tank, and not to mention you're all went to the same schools and work for the same people who all have the same ideology, and you are all guilty of groupthink. It used to be when you wanted to be a reporter, you would get a job at a newspaper, carry coffee for people for 6 weeks. If you survived that, they would give you a beat, and you would apprentice up the program, and reporting was much more of a lower class to high middle class profession. But now all you need to do is go to a well-connected university and you get dropped in, and you've never have to work the daily grind of the real thing. You could just start at the top, like Chelsea for CBS News. Like, oh, fun times. But enough about our corrupt and incompetent elite. Tensions of erected barricades on the main roads in the north of Kosovo. Albanian police officer was injured. Someone lobbed a stun grenade at the EU peacekeeping patrol mission. Serbia raised its combat readiness and will not stand by if Serbs in Kosovo are attacked. My understanding, so Serbian President Alexander Vucic has called for deploying Serb troops to northern Kosovo, further fueling fears of revival of the 98-99 war in Kosovo that claimed more than 10,000 lives and left over 1 million homeless. Let's look at a little of the history, they say. Kosovo is mainly ethnic Albanian territory that declared independence from Serbia in 2008. The Serbian government has refused to recognize Kosovo's statehood and still consider it part of Serbia, even though it has no more formal control there. Yeah, because the EU peacekeepers are doing all the controlling. Over 100 countries have recognized Kosovo's independence, including the U.S. and most Western countries. Russia, China, and 5 European nations have sided with Serbia. I just looked up to this morning and discovered there's 190. The official total of countries is 195 in the world. So if 100 countries have recognized Kosovo's independence, but 7 are there, what happened to the other 88 countries? That means 95 countries do not recognize Kosovo's independence. That's a little different than saying 107. No, 195. This is the kind of tricky BS statements that we've come to love and admire from our media while we go give our super chats to independent creators. How deep is the conflict? Serbia cherishes the region as the heart of its statehood and religion. Numerous medieval Serb Orthodox Christian monasteries are in Kosovo. Serb nationalists view a 1389 battle against Ottoman Turks there is a symbol of this national struggle. They think it's their freaking 4th of July, people. It's not like, it's just not an incidental battle. This is a big effing deal. Kosovo's majority ethnic Albanians, most of them whom are Muslim, view Kosovo as their country and accuse Serbia of occupation and repression. Look, what happened is during this goes back all the way back to World War II. Yugoslavia, all these places were part of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a multi-ethnic state, and at the end of the war, it got liberated by the from the Nazis by the Soviet Union, and they installed a guy named, oh God, Tito as in charge. And Tito is an interesting guy. He managed to try and balance the Soviet Union and the United States, taking money and weapons from both sides for the bulk of his life. There's like he apparently once wrote a letter of like, stop sending assassins to Stalin, saying, stop sending assassins to kill me. I will, or I'm going to have to send assassins to try to kill you. What happened is, in order to control his sides, he would invite people from neighboring countries into his country and basically overrun the population. So, and do population transfers within the country, which did not make him very popular with people. And at the end, when he died, and in 1980, it held on the communists held on until the fall of the Soviet Union, whereupon the country started to split up on old ethnic ties. And so the Serbs wanted to hold on to Kosovo because what's happened is these majority ethnic Albanians were only brought in the last 40 to 50 years to become the majority. Before that, it was a Serb majority place. Belgrade's brutal response prompted a NATO intervention in 1999. Hey, I thought the NATO was a defensive alliance. Why does it have? Why did it intervene in stuff? Anyways, is there a link to Russia and the war in Ukraine? Well, before Russian tanks and troops rolled into Ukraine in February, Russian President Vladimir Putin cited the breakup of Yugoslavia to justify a possible invasion of sovereign European country. Yeah, he did exactly what Putin claimed. NATO's bombardment of Serbia in 1999, the West's acceptance of Kosovo as a country, created a legal precedent that they say created an illegal precedent, but no, it's a legal precedent. If he's claiming it, he wouldn't declare it's illegal. He says it. Okay, sorry, I misread that. Created an illegal precedent that shattered international law and order. So fair turnabout is fair play. In 2014, he invades the country based on the same argument. If ex-Yugoslav republics and the Serbian province could become independent with Western backing in wars, why shouldn't Ukraine's strategic Black Sea Peninsula and the rebel-controlled majority Russian areas in the country's east split off with Russian help? That Western officials have vehemently rejected Putin's argument, saying that the NATO intervention in Kosovo was triggered by mass killings and other war crimes committed by Serbian troops against ethnic Albanians. You know, like the Ukrainians have spent the last 8 years doing the population of Donbass and continue with their terror bombing to this day. Well documented by all sorts of people, including CTV News, right up in February 24th, 2022, in which we suddenly forget everything that ever happened, including that time, then certain people got thrown into a union hall in Odessa and had the building set on fire, and then the people surrounding the building shot anyone trying to escape. But that apparently doesn't happen anymore. What is the situation in Kosovo? There are constant tensions between Kosovo's government and ethnic Serb residents who keep close ties with Belgrade. Government attempts to impose more control in the Serb-dominated north are usually met with resistance. Mitrovica, the main city in northern Kosovo, is effectively divided into an ethnic Albanian part and a Serb-held part, and the two sides rarely mix. There are also smaller Serb-populated enclaves in southern Kosovo. Tens of thousands of Kosovo Serbs live in central Serbia, where they fled together with the drawing Serb troops in 1999. Kosovo is poor country, except it's not a country. It's just because it's a province, with much of its pre-war industry not running. Crime and corruption are rampant in both the ethnic Albanian and Serb controlled areas. Serbs may make up 10% of the population before, but now it's lower. It's like 6%. What has been done to resolve this dispute? European Union officials have mediated negotiations designed to normalize relations between Serbia and Kosovo in 2012. No negotiations have led to results in some areas, such as freedom movement without checkpoints and establishing a multi-ethnic police force in Kosovo. However, the latter broke down when Serbs put out of the force a few months ago to protest Pristina's, I believe that's the city there, a decision to ban Serbian-issued vehicle license plates and demand their replacement with Kosovo-issued ones. Really? We're going to have the license plate war, people. After international pressure, the Kosovo Prime Minister suspended the decree, but that did not bring Serbs back to the Kosovo institutions, including the government, hospitals in the north, and the police. Who are the main players? Kosovo and Serbia both have nationalist leaders who were active during the era of the 98-99 war. Kosovo's prime minister is often accused by international mediators of making moves that trigger unnecessary tensions. He's rejected the idea of a territory swap between Serbia and Kosovo, and the idea his political predecessors willing to consider to reach a negotiated settlement with Serbia. Vucic, Serbia's populist president, is a former ultranationalist who insists, I'm sure he's still an ultranationalist, who insists that any solution must involve compromise if it is to last. Like every good solution, both sides don't get what they want. Vucic has acknowledged Serbia's loss of control over Kosovo, and the city has come to terms with that, but also says the country won't settle unless it gains something. You know, everyone wants a win-win, except for NATO. International officials still hope Kosovo and Serbia can reach a deal that will allow Kosovo to get a seat in the UN without Serbia having to explicitly recognize this statehood. Both nations must normalize ties if they want to advance to EU membership. Who wants that? That's probably gone in 5 years. Belgrade controls Kosovo's north, and Kosovo is unlikely to become a member of the UN in a functional state, resolving the dispute with Serbia. And Kosovo announced that it will soon apply to becoming a candidate for EU membership, something Serbia vehemently opposes. Okay. What else did we have? Sorry, just maneuvering things around. Thanks, the orc. I still need to make you a freaking moderator one of these days. Glad to see you around. Yeah, I'm have the 500 subscribers I got from this other foreign policy channel, so it's great. Okay, so where did I go from here? I got rid of the CTV Serbs. Okay, so I was just there's one. Oh, another one. I want to hear from the other side, and by the other side, I mean RT, because despite all our people's just get the share screen up here. I'm starting to do my Microsoft Edge tab. Yeah, for some reason I find Edge is way better on StreamYard than on the Google. I think I mentioned that the other day. So RT, that site that no one in the United States wants you, or in much of Europe they want you to see, because God knows knowing what the other guys are talking about is a terrible thing. No one ever wants to know what my enemy is saying. Yep. The U.S. is categorically rejecting provision of UN resolution on Kosovo. I'm sure the backing Bosnia has been something the EU is going along with, but I think Serbia's resolved that. Situation in Kosovo resembles Ukraine. Russian envoy. Okay, so this is what the Russians are thinking, and I'll get to them after I finish off. I'll do another thing with Larry Johnson's blog. He pointed something out last night. Ongoing standoff in Kosovo bears an uncanny resemblance to the Donbass crisis. Russia's envoy to Belgrade told Rossiya 24 TV channel on Monday. The whole situation, everything including Pristina's attitude toward the Kosovan Serbs, resembles, though on a smaller scale, what has happened and is still happening in Ukraine. The West is also treating the ethnic Albanian government in Kosovo the same way it has Kiev, he argued. And you know what? You always use the Russian terms unless I'm going to use the German terms. I don't care. It's like Kiev. I'm like, no, it's not. Comparing the Donbass crisis to tensions in Kosovo, the ambassador added, to take over control over all of Kosovo, including the regions inhabited by Serbs at all costs, is what lies at the heart of this standoff. Any further escalation would lead to more drastic consequences. Botsin Karchenko warned. Serbian President Alexander Vucic still seeks to get out of the spiral tensions through peaceful means and avoid transforming into a full-blown conflict. According to the envoy, Pristina only bets on hard power, brute force. NATO's, here we go from the other side. NATO seized Kosovo from Serbia in 1999 following the bombing of Serbia. The U.S. and its allies continue to enable the ethnic Albanians in the province, said recently, comparing with their behavior towards Kiev. The current Kosovo government insists it can only discuss full recognition with Belgrade, something Serbia has continued to refuse. The most recent standoff comes amid a major deployment of ethnic Albanian police in ethnic Serb majority areas just weeks after the EU president persuaded Pristina back down from a plan to ban Serbian license plates. So maybe we're no longer over the license plate war, but I think that'd be a great name. I could solely sell that to World at War. Belgrade has accused the West of ignoring the grievances of Kosovo Serbs and noticing them only when they are on the barricades. Meanwhile, Vucic called on Serbs in the breakaway province on Sunday to be calm and peaceful, as well as to refrain. We will do everything to preserve peace and stability, he added at the time. So, that's just getting you a little bit of a different point of view from the other side. And then I'm going to talk to about, I have one here from Balkan Insight. So I'm going to share that screen, present, share screen, edge tab. Okay. Serbia considering sending 1,000 security personnel into Kosovo. Potential escalation of the Kosovan conflict. Top Serbian officials say Belgrade may seek to deploy 1,000 security personnel in Kosovo under the terms of UN Resolution 1244. Belgrade will consider, in accordance with the Resolution 1244, the return of up to 1,000 members of our security forces to the territory of Kosovo and Motihia, as provided under Resolution 1244. Belarum Vila, an advisor to Kosovo's president, said Serbia was moving from covert violent actions of its illegal structures in Kosovo to overt threats to use police and military forces to conduct aggression towards Kosovo. As per Russia's playbook, this is a blatant threat to endanger peace and stability in Kosovo and the wider region, Vila said on Twitter. Hours earlier, Kosovo police said in a press release that their priority is to provide security for all citizens, therefore assessing the situation, the current trends in the northern municipalities. Police also announced that around 11 p.m. on Thursday, a police officer was injured in Srbovic, a village, when was protected by armed persons in a drive-by shooting. Remember, this place just has a, it may not even be related to the war. There's like a 10% corruption rate in this country, whatever that means. The incident occurred while the burned team's car approached the crossroads near the school, while a group of masked persons was seen observing the roadside. The attacker hit the car with his fist while heavy objects were thrown in the direction of the car by a masked group. The Association of Journalists on Friday condemned the attack and expressed deep concern over the security of journalists reporting from northern Kosovo. Sorry, I'm going to take my Rubio moment. After the Kosovo War in June 1999, Serbian police and military withdrew from Kosovo. After the withdrawal, an agreed number of Yugoslav and Serb military and police personnel will be permitted to return to Kosovo. Pektic told media in Belgrade that some over 300 to 350 policemen, 100 patrol policemen with bulletproof vests, and 100 RSU, former police unit members with long barrels and full military gear, and with armored vehicles entered the north of Kosovo and Mitohija at around 8:30 from the direction of South Mitrovica. He added they deployed and later occupied and blocked the entire city of Kosovska Mitrovica in order to finally station themselves in the mixed settlements located in the northern part of Kosovoka Mitrovica. After a surge from north of Kosovo collectively withdrew from the Kosovo Institute in the beginning of November as a continuation of years-long license plate dispute. the government decided to switch Serbian minister and MPs. ULEX increased the presence in the field, and government also decided organize local elections in 4 municipalities in north of Kosovo, mostly populated with Serbs, which already triggered incidents. So they occupied the area. They decided to hold new municipal elections that are not recognized by the breakaway government, and this is an escalation. So I'm not saying it's like all like Serbia's getting off innocent here, but both sides are doing things that are leading to things getting tougher. Anyways, so we'll just go to the last one here for tonight, and then I'll talk get more of my analysis of what the hell is going on. Oh, hey, Matthew. Good to see you. Yes, my co-host on when I do movie stuff.org is not quite dead yet. And Matthew Coburn, hi, to see you in the chat. Thanks for giving me a watch. Okay, so I was just going to go over to present again, share screen, Microsoft Edge tab. So here we have who I did on the weekend, Sonar 21's Larry Johnson's blog. He's pointing out the situation on the border shared by Kosovo and Serbia is getting more dicey by the day. The latest spark threatening to ignite a new war is attributing to Kosovo arresting a Serbian national living in Kosovo. So what does Panama have to do with this? During his last year in the CIA, I had a front row seat to the U.S. behind-the-scenes effort to provoke an incident in Panama that would justify U.S. military invasion of the country to dethrone Emmanuel Noriega. The CIA, in concert with the Department of Justice and the Department of Defense, was working behind the scenes, including helping fund a failed military coup and other stuff. So I'm just again, going to skip ahead to a little bit of that. If you want to read the whole thing, go to his blog. Which brings me back to Serbia. It says, if you think the foreign intelligence operatives from the U.S. and UK are taking a hands-off approach to the situation on the Serbian-Kosovo border, think again. With the war in Ukraine going badly for the U.S. and NATO, it appears that the West is hoping to create a situation in Serbia that will force Russia to divide its forces. Ethnic and religious differences separating Serbs and Kosovos are centuries old. There's also a long history of outside forces meddling to promote conflict rather than peace. Serbia's support for Russia has earned the enmity of the United States and NATO and is an undercurrent in the escalating conflict on the border. It is a dangerous game because NATO's ability to intervene militarily has been sapped by its support for Ukraine's war effort. Remember in our Sunday show, we talked about how strong all the countries are. So I looked it up this morning. The Serbs army is only about 32 to 36,000 troops with 6 brigades and 6 independent battalions. However, as we discussed on Sunday, Germany's army is 66,000. It only has a 2-to-1 advantage against Serb. The French were 120, and Britain had less than 70 to 80,000 troops. And they're supposed to be cutting that down by another 10,000 next year. What are these guys going to do? America has what? Maybe 50,000 combat troops, but aren't they going to go in and bail out the Ukrainians? Who is going to be fighting this war? It's a little crazy. So just one last thing. So we also have to understand something about the Russia and Serbian relationship. Russia looks at Serbia as its little brother, and I'll probably go into this more in detail in a future video, but it's getting a little late here, and my voice is starting to go. But Russia looks at Serbia as its little brother in a way, and to it is so far to look at its little brother that it started World War I in order to bail out Serbia from the Austrian-Hungarians, and now we're watching much of Europe decide it might be time to spark off a conflict with Serbia or hopefully engineer a regime change with no troops in order to do it. And most of their weapons and ready to go stuff being sent off to Ukraine where it's being blown up by the Russians or used up by the Ukrainians. So there's not like really much troops here to do anything with. But guess who has not been sending off their weapons to support the Ukrainians? The Serbs. And they have a history of like crazy military preparations. Just because they have 32,000 troops or 36,000 troops, I would be ready to admit they could have a double to triple that in short order just by calling up militias and all the guys have buried their guns in the hills after 99. There's definitely would not be hard to get themselves up to a sizable army, much the way they did so in the First World War. Not to mention, as I said, Russia looks at Serbia as its little brother. Now, there's no way for it to get to Serbia right now because of all the different things. And I doubt they would directly militarily intervene against NATO countries to get there. That being said, who's on Serbia's border right now? Let's go find ourselves a map of Serbia. We can plot out some options here. Map. Oh. Okay. Yes. So let me just see what's going on here. I'm going to go to back over here. Present. Share screen. Okay, so we can see here Serbia is surrounded by on all sides bunch of different people. But right now we know that, and here we have Kosovo in the southwest quadrant. Bosnia and Herzegovina have managed to get themselves some independence. Croatia is very much a German ally, so I wouldn't be expecting any help there. Now, Hungary is an interesting thing. I could definitely see Hungary, especially the way things are going with its relationship with Europe, not above letting things help out. Uh, they wouldn't militarily help out, but I could see them definitely smuggling weapons and equipment into northern Serbia to help them out and do a little bit of a contained struggle to get just drive some trucks and jeeps and weapons and supplies across the border into Serbia and just be like, oops, I guess we lost that stuff. Romania is definitely the country that's most hostile here. They have been eyeing some. They've been talking about possibly one of the countries that's going into this coalition of the willing with Poland and America, and definitely they, like Poland, have troops currently serving in Ukraine fighting the Russians. And then there's Bulgaria down here in the south. Bulgaria is definitely would be sympathetic to Serbs' position. Their government they've already gone through one government. This new government's no more stable than the last. It's hard to say what's going to happen there. But I just wanted to look at that. But like I said, the Russians could definitely support them with intelligence, maybe smuggle in some Spetsnaz units or something like that. But for the most part, what I can see doing is I've discussed several times is my belief that the Russians are planning on doing a much more broad offensive and not doing any of these deep arrow, as they call them, strikes, or like they're not going to try to do a cauldron. They're not going to try to do a mass attack somewhere. They're not going to make it in these slicing moments that we've been talking about, except for maybe around Kharkov. I think that's much more possibility. But they just want to blast as many Ukrainian troops in front of them with artillery and just kind of slow roll until the Ukrainian army breaks. However, if Serbia does get into a fight, I think that is something that will, if little brother is actually getting attacked by NATO troops, I think that does change the political calculation. So there's going to be people like the Brian Berlet. Let's look at the Soviet General Staff, the Stavka. I have no doubt different officers are in there arguing for different approaches to things. And the guys, including General Armageddon, are the guys who are arguing for the current and very successful plan and not to do anything too overly ambitious. But if Serbia's being attacked, little brother's being attacked, I can see things escalating. And suddenly some of these operation plans that I think are, I've said, would be really cool. And some of these other things like Douglas McGregor and others have been arguing that the Russians could do and would do if they were in charge, could very well much more likely go on the table in order to to escalate the pressure on not Ukraine but on the NATO and the West to basically say, "Oh, really? You want to go messing with our little brother? We could play, two could play, and we'll just really do something pretty drastic in response." They can escalate up in order to help out Serbia. And suddenly, Odessa not falling for another 6 months to the summer when the Ukrainian army is demolished, is suddenly Russia wants to get into Odessa as soon as possible, help the Odessan population, but also get that land bridge to Hungary. And then we could see some interesting things possibly happen there, especially if people are siding with Serbia and to rescue Russia's has shown in the past helping out little brother Serbia is definitely a thing they will do. And I was talking about that book earlier, and this is a time I wanted to just kind of take 2 minutes and mention that I have this book here called A Mad Catastrophe, and it is the outbreak of World War I and the collapse of the Habsburg Empire. And you want to know a lot about some of the stuff that's being talked today about the Serbian crisis, and also how our elites are very much just like the Austrian Habsburg elites, a group of people who had a not understanding of their true capabilities, and kept thinking that it was still the early 19th century and that they had not fallen behind the times and that there are not new powers rising that were better than them. That's a great book. And I'll probably bring it up more again later for some of the other shows. But I just wanted to come on here and say, hey, time to get on the ground floor of some of the stuff that's actually talking about. So if you want to see more of this, you know where to like, share, subscribe. Come to my locals page. That's where I answer questions more often than not, either here, there, and on the stream. And you can support me. And I just want to shout out to my one paying subscriber. I'm glad you're. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Okay, it's been half an hour in. I'm signing off for the night. Thanks for here, and I'll see you this weekend. Bye bye.